In travel news for October 16th, 2024, we talk about three major developments impacting global travel. Delta extending their flight suspension to Tel Aviv due to regional conflict. Greece focusing on infrastructure improvements to manage growing tourism. And Prague implementing new regulations to control rowdy tourists and short-term rentals. But before we begin, I'm Brandon with the Adept Traveler, an award-winning travel agency that makes travel so easy. Even a blind traveler like myself can do it. And now, Today in Travel. Delta Airlines has announced the continuation of its suspension of flights between New York John F. Kennedy International Airport and Tel Aviv, Israel, due to the ongoing regional conflict. Initially paused in August, this suspension has now been extended through March 31st, 2025. Travelers with existing bookings to or from Tel Aviv during this period should expect further schedule changes and adjust their plans accordingly. Delta first announced the suspension of its flights between New York JFK and Tel Aviv in August, citing safety concerns stemming from ongoing conflict in the region. In a recent update, Delta extended this suspension until March 31st, 2025, emphasizing that passenger safety is their primary concern. The airline is constantly reviewing intelligence reports and security guidance to assess whether operations can resume sooner, but for now, flights will remain paused. Travelers with reservations on Delta's Tel Aviv route are advised to stay informed through the Fly Delta app, where updates will be communicated directly. Delta also mentioned that any cancellations or changes to scheduled flights would be processed on a rolling basis, potentially impacting travel plans for months to come. The prolonged suspension of flights to Tel Aviv is part of a larger trend, with other major airlines such as American Airlines and United Airlines also halting services to the region. American Airlines suspended flights to Israel as of August 16, 2023, and does not expect to resume services until late March 2025. United has similarly suspended flights to Tel Aviv indefinitely, citing the uncertain security situation. For travelers, this disruption means rethinking plans and seeking alternative routes or destinations. Delta has issued a travel waiver for customers who booked flights to or from Tel Aviv before March 31st, 2025, allowing them to modify or cancel their bookings without incurring fees. It's recommended that travelers review their options, as additional cancellations could affect future flights. Delta's response to the conflict highlights how geopolitical situations can directly impact international air travel. Travelers should be prepared for sudden changes in schedules, especially in regions affected by conflict or instability. For those planning trips to Israel or the surrounding region, flexibility and adaptability are essential. Delta's suspension, along with similar actions by other airlines, reflects a cautious approach to safeguarding passengers and crew. Travelers should keep an eye on airline notifications, particularly if they are booking flights to destinations in volatile areas. The travel waiver offered by Delta provides some relief, allowing customers to make adjustments without penalty. However, travelers should still consider purchasing travel insurance, particularly coverage that includes disruptions caused by geopolitical events, to mitigate potential financial losses. For those who need to travel urgently, exploring connecting flights through other international hubs might be a temporary solution until normal services resume. As the situation in the region continues to evolve, travelers should stay informed and prepared for potential changes to their itineraries. Delta's decision to extend its suspension through March 2025 reflects the airline's commitment to passenger safety, though it may cause inconvenience for those with planned trips to Tel Aviv. As airlines like American and United make similar moves, the suspension highlights the broader challenges international travel faces in conflict zones. For now, passengers should monitor updates and utilize the flexibility offered by Delta's travel waiver to adjust their plans accordingly. Greece's prime minister has rejected the idea that overtourism is a pressing national problem. Instead, the country is focusing on bolstering infrastructure to handle more travelers and expand the peak travel season. Speaking at a recent conference, the prime minister highlighted the need to manage tourist activity more effectively and promote sustainable tourism growth across less visited regions. The prime minister's remarks suggest a shift in strategy aimed at boosting revenue while addressing localized challenges, particularly in popular island destinations. Greece's prime minister dismissed concerns that the country is suffering from overtourism, describing it as a mischaracterization on the situation. Speaking at a tourism conference, the prime minister explained that while certain island destinations face infrastructure strain during peak months, much of the country is far from reaching saturation. His emphasis was on improving infrastructure to handle growing tourist numbers rather than limiting arrivals. The prime minister pointed out that Greece faces a seasonal challenge with concentrated tourist activities in specific areas during July and August. By improving infrastructure and spreading visitor activity over a longer period and across more destinations, Greece aims to continue its upward trend in tourism without negatively impacting local resources. In the first half of 2023, Greece saw a significant rise in tourism. Between January and July, the country welcomed 14.4 million international air passengers, marking an 8.2% increase compared to the previous year. Tourism spending also surged with a $7.5 billion spent during the same period. The Prime Minister sees these figures as proof of Greece's untapped tourism potential, especially in lesser visited areas. One of the major steps Greece has taken to address localized crowding is introducing new measures aimed at managing cruise traffic to its most popular islands. The country plans to impose fees on cruise passengers, with the revenue being directed towards improving local infrastructure. This is particularly crucial for islands such as Mykonos and Santorini, which see an overwhelming number of cruise ships arrive during peak season. The Prime Minister also announced limits on the number of cruise ships allowed to dock at these islands during peak months. The goal is to encourage cruise operators to explore alternative destinations and help spread tourism activity more evenly across the country. Additionally, expanding the tourist season beyond the traditional summer months is a key objective in the government's strategy. For travelers, these developments highlight the importance of planning visits to Greece with an understanding of how tourism is evolving in the country. With new fees for cruise passengers and potential limitations on arrivals in popular destinations, travelers may need to be more flexible in their travel plans. However, these measures could also lead to a more enjoyable experience by reducing overcrowding in peak locations. Infrastructure improvements will allow travelers to explore more regions comfortably, making it easier to visit less crowded areas. Travelers may find that expanding their itineraries beyond well-known hotspots can offer a richer and more relaxed experience of Greece. Additionally, with the push to extend the peak tourist season, visiting outside the traditional July-August window could offer a more serene experience while still enjoying the country's renowned attractions. The new policies also emphasize sustainable tourism, aiming to balance growth with the preservation of local resources. Greece's tourism strategy reflects a commitment to manage growth in a sustainable way, rather than limiting the number of visitors. Greece aims to spread tourist activity more evenly throughout the year and across the country. This approach, combined with targeted infrastructure improvements, position Greece to continue its rise as a leading global destination. For travelers, the implications are clear. There are still many untapped regions in Greece that offer great potential for discovery, and visiting during the extended travel season can provide a more peaceful experience. With these strategic changes, Greece is working to ensure that both tourists and local communities benefit from a balanced and sustainable approach to tourism growth. In an effort to address the growing concerns of local residents and protect the integrity of its historic districts, Prague has announced a series of measures aimed at curbing disruptive tourist behavior. The Czech capital is taking steps to reduce nighttime disturbances, control the spread of short-term holiday rentals, and preserve the city's housing market, which has been impacted by the influx of tourists. These new policies targeting bar crawls and Airbnb-style accommodations reflect the city's determination to improve quality of life for residents and offer a more balanced tourism experience. Prague is known for its vibrant nightlife, drawing in tourists from all over the world. However, this reputation has led to issues with rowdy behavior, particularly in the city's historic Old Town. In response, local officials have implemented a ban on organized bar crawls between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. This new rule is designed to limit the noise and disturbances caused by large groups of tourists moving from bar to bar late at night. The goal is to restore peace in the city's central districts and improve the living conditions for both residents and visitors. The ban is likely to impact the businesses that cater to party tourism, including operators that have promoted Prague as one of Europe's top destinations for pub crawls. For travelers, this change means that late-night party tours will no longer be available, pushing visitors to seek out more responsible ways to enjoy the city's nightlife. In addition to controlling late-night disturbances, Prague is tackling the issue of short-term rentals, which have contributed to housing shortages and inflated real estate prices in the city center. Following the example of cities such as London, England, Amsterdam, Netherlands, and Paris, France, the Czech government has introduced a draft bill that would allow municipalities to limit Airbnb-style rentals. The aim is to reduce the number of properties being used exclusively for tourism, freeing up more housing for local residents. If approved, the new regulation will cap the number of days a property can be rented out each year and establish minimum space requirements per guest. Property owners will also be required to register their rentals and guest details through a new platform called e-Turista, ensuring greater oversight and accountability. These measures are designed to bring short-term rentals in line with the obligations of traditional hotels, including stricter taxation and regulatory standards. Currently, officials estimate that a significant portion of short-term rentals in Prague are not properly reported, resulting in millions of tax dollars lost. The new system, expected to take effect by July 2025, would provide a more transparent process for regulating tourist accommodations and ensuring that property owners contribute to the local economy. Prague's efforts to control tourism don't stop at bar crawls and ban of private rentals. Earlier this year, city officials proposed banning outlandish costumes worn by stag and hen party groups, which are often seen as contributing to the disruptive and rowdy behavior in the city's popular nightlife districts. While the proposed costume ban has not yet been approved, it highlights the growing concern among locals about the negative impact of party tourism on the city's reputation and quality of life. Additionally, a ban on cars entering parts of Prague's historic Old Town between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. was implemented in July of 2023. This move aims to further reduce noise and traffic in the area, making it easier for residents and travelers to enjoy the city without the disruption of loud vehicles during the night. For visitors planning a trip to Prague, these new measures will likely affect how they experience the city, particularly its nightlife and accommodation options. Travelers who had intended to participate in pub crawls will need to explore alternative ways to enjoy the city's bars and clubs, as organized tours will no longer be allowed after 10 p.m. Those looking for short-term rental accommodations should be aware of potential restrictions on availability and length of stay, particularly as the regulation comes into effect in 2025. Despite these changes, Prague remains a top destination for those interested in culture, history, and a more relaxed travel experience. The city's effort to manage tourist behavior are intended to strike a balance between welcoming visitors and preserving the quality of life for its residents. Tourists should plan accordingly and be mindful of the new rules to ensure a smooth and enjoyable visit. Prague's decision to implement a bar crawl ban and tighten regulations on Airbnb-style rentals reflects a broader trend amongst European cities grappling with the challenges of tourism. By addressing issues related to noise, overcrowding, and housing shortages, Prague is taking steps to ensure that its tourism industry remains sustainable and beneficial for both locals and visitors. While these changes may impact how tourists experience the city, they are ultimately designed to create a more balanced and enjoyable environment for everyone. Travelers should keep these developments in mind when planning their trips to Prague, especially if visiting the city's historic areas during peak travel seasons. Today in Travel is brought to you by The Adept Traveler, an award-winning travel agency that specializes in making travel easier for everyone. From the novice to the expert, from the able-bodied to the disabled traveler, it's our belief that everybody deserves to travel better. Until next time, travel well, my friends.